My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. It's 5:16 a.m. And the Ontario International Airport that is stalking at the Ontario Town Square and the El Balcon rooftop restaurant, flying over that restaurant where I'm showing you at overnight, where the fake moon moves, repositions itself over me while I leave the Ovid Family Community Library location, is an indication that the people of the state are stalking. That's the same with the government that is stalking by helicopter. It's the same while the government is engaged in criminal summoning, stalking using lights and sirens. It's an indication regarding the criminal conduct, the public corruption that the people of the state are engaging in, and that they are doing so on a 24-hour basis. It is 5:17 a.m. at the Ontario Town Square, and the entity is engaging in what is ceaseless surveillance, never ceasing to take a break, take a bathroom break, take a nap, while they are engaging in the pattern of conduct. The entity overnight is stalking, flying over the El Balcon. That's the 200 North Euclid Avenue venue, where I showed on video, and I captured on a regular basis them hovering over this short building, the Mule Cart Smokehouse, and the El Balcon, this little club area where the people of the state are not concerned about socializing with each other. They're all gang stalking, and they do so at a socializing type of event where they're stalking with light under a fake moon while the police are stalking in helicopters and the entities stalking with planes at the Ontario Town Square location. But it is March 31st, 2026, and the entity is stalking. Again, these are demons, and this is mentally ill behavior that is illogical, and it's also self-destructive. The entity has already lost, and there is no endeavor where they are successful with stalking me. They are doing so out of pure obsession with me. They are doing so out of pure delusion with regard to having been exposed by me versus an entire quote unquote elite government. They're not elite. They're vagina monitors. They behave as people that consume feces. They reek of people that consume feces. They engage in sick, demented behaviors as people who consume feces. They're stalkers. There's nothing elite about that. They are humiliated. And out of that ego, which is also born of, again, nothing out of the truth. It's all about born out of what is a dwarfed sense of self, all of them, a sense of ego and pride in killing other people, successfully stalking other people, and they do that to demons like themselves. So they were inevitably inferior and were never going to be successful. The government that's full of demons who are highly imprudent are providing evidence against the rest of an entity that are outside of San Bernardino County, that are outside of this location. And there's no mystery about what I documented when I encountered them, wherever they might have been. It's the same entity. And they are all being federally prosecuted, while fools in Ontario, California are incapable of restraining themselves after they have already been defeated in their own criminal acts regarding secretly targeting someone in order to successfully depict their character as one that would be hallucinating or making up information as a criminal, as a mentally ill person about the government or anyone targeting. That is long gone. This is an entity that stole my inheritance, stole my wealth, knows exactly who I am, is obsessed with me because of that reality of my identity, and is also obsessed because they are demons who engage in a demonic pattern of conduct. That includes psychotic things like the environment where I'm showing you. It's not the natural environment where the sun is rising and setting over me. Well, you see that pattern as I go even from city to city. So the adjacent city is not full of people who are sane, people who are normal, lacking in any demon-possessed people. To the contrary, you're seeing the exact ongoing, seamless pattern of conduct, which is speaking to a statewide pattern of conduct. When I go then, therefore, to San Diego, this is exactly what you saw, and this is exactly what is serving to prosecute the entity in that city, in that county, and so on and so forth. The entity engaging in this pattern of conduct, and it is to the demise of that entity that is already exposed itself as one that is a threat to the public in need of martial law. That's how you're getting to the analysis regarding a government that is exposed that it is indeed a stalker. And what is that? That is a mentally ill population that is in need of martial law. Because what government body is a stalker? And that is a proven fact, not a conspiracy theory. So this is an entity that is very much indeed in need of what are the U.S. government, the same U.S. government whose criminal pattern of conduct this belongs to. However, the U.S. government that is also forced to provide justice, also forced to provide the remedy, also forced to cause the entity itself that has failed in engaging in the U.S. government's pattern of conduct in any secret manner, controlling the so-called target. The entity has lost control and lost in that endeavor altogether. And it's 5 o'clock in the morning where you're stalking in the dark, and everyone knows exactly what it is that they're doing as they do it, as the P.O.C. has been laid out thoroughly with detail for everyone to educate themselves about, because you need to know what Satan is doing, what the wicked are doing, what the demon-possessed are, and what they want you to think they are, and what they are actually doing. Okay? And it is all surveillance. It's not about education. It's not about business. It's not about politics. It's not about organizing. It's not about their communities. It's not even about their families. They're engaged in surveillance. They are demons. And they have a limited amount of time. And you're looking at the mentally ill that are demon possessed, who don't even concern themselves with maintaining some outward appearance of being sane and not being guilty and being successful at any level in a courtroom. They're not concerned with that. They're concerned with surveillance that they're not even going to be able to continue, surveillance that they have exposed and admitted is ongoing in the rest of this country.
That's what's stalking in commercial planes. The Ontario International Airport is being shut down, and that is speaking to every other aspect of the city of Ontario. Paul Leon's being federally prosecuted. It's going to be successful. He's going to prison. Mike Lorenz and the Ontario Police Department are being disbanded. It's going to be successful in federal court. Mike Lorenz is going to prison. He's already been convicted. They have already been convicted in this courtroom, which you are looking at on the internet, which is necessary when you're proving that the government is a domestic terrorist in these United States with the existence of the state and federal constitution. Absolutely necessary for you to witness it first. Nobody is imagining what you're witnessing, in other words. This is P.O.C. It is currently 5:23 a.m. at 200 North Euclid Avenue, where the entity is stalking. And as I walk north of Euclid Avenue, just like you witnessed yesterday, when I am at the betwixt Upland, California and Ontario, California, where they are stalking, hovering over the smokehouse, where there's not even any airport. There is certainly no airport anywhere near the 10 freeway. There's one airport in Ontario. And the entity is engaging in what is also, you're looking at what is hovering, stalking in the sky space, wanting to be a part of those who are around me. That obsessive stalking conduct is exhibited by those that are doing it in commercial planes. This is how inferior the demon-possessed are. They're stalking out of pure obsession, because of their inability to defeat me, and now they're obsessed and stalking and admittedly doing so to their own demise, because they are in fact demons who cannot overwhelm, you cannot rebut or contend with the power of the Holy Spirit, period. And they are obsessed with that. Even while they're hypnotized like a moth to a flame, they're going to prison and they're going to be committed. They represent the entity. Very real people who are demon possessed, who are going to climb out of planes, and they're going to be in court, and their identities are going to be known. Their families, whoever is related to these psychopaths, the entity that's sharing in criminal activity with them, which is a whole system in Ontario, this is the entity that's going to be federally prosecuted, and they're going to suffer together. It is P.O.C. It's currently 5:25 a.m.
Alrighty, this is the Ontario International Airport. You've seen this before, the demons flying over me on the sidewalk at Economy Inn. The entity clearly stalking as a commercial plane. This is just blatant. Let me back up so you can see where they're at. They are stalking, literally stalking, flying in the direction toward me. They're making a U-turn, flying over the sidewalk, over the El Pescador parking lot. What do you think they're doing inside of here? Under federal law, they're stalking. Okay, they're P.O.C. and that's P.O.C. and this is the ability to go in and document the population that is gang stalking. License plate 8VHX428. Surveillance on the roads and the highways in furtherance of murder. This is the inhumanity regarding gang stalking, where a population, millions of people, are vying for the death of an American citizen that they're stalking together, keeping under surveillance together. That is proven through the stalking by the government, as the Ontario International Airport has proven and clearly demonstrated, and the Ontario Police Department, the Ontario Fire Department, as I'm in an adjacent city, the city of Upland, etc., etc. 5LNE605, 7BNF675. This is G Street and Euclid, where I've documented the fake sun rise and set. The entity stalking me by helicopter at El Pescador. All manner of the pattern of conduct is already established. This is getting the entity stalking as I've been walking down the street. I'm capturing the people of the state, their homes, their house numbers. This is evidence to be published on the internet regarding exposing terrorists in the United States. It's going to be used for the public to reference. It's also used to prosecute. I'm going to prosecute the entire city of Ontario, and I don't have to go get all the thousands of people in Ontario. But I am documenting what is more than a sample, demonstrating that the entire city, and that there is no exception. And the entity has shown that while they do things like keep a fake sun and a fake moon over me, and stalk in these asinine, ridiculous, obvious, blatant, flagrant ways. This is P.O.C. This is the entity now engaging in though they're rising over the El Pescador. The people of the state engaging in what is doing their part, maintaining sexual assault and battery, that is going to be noted in the prosecution. People that want to keep custody of their kids, but you're a vagina monitor. You want to keep custody of your kids, you want to be around them, you want to be permitted near them, you don't want to be viewed as a pedophile, a sexually violent risk, but yet you're engaged in sexual assault and battery, stalking people in the middle of the night, stalking 24 hours a day, invading privacy as a population, stalking in bathrooms, stalking even more because you're hostile while you're being documented as a stalker. This is the entity that's going to be prosecuted while there's sexual assault and battery, which the people of the state as an entity, including 8VZP436. This is the entity that's stalking at El Pescador, the entity that turns the parking lot lights on and off as I cross path. El Pescador engaged in terrorism, stalking and monitoring and terrorizing, harassing, psychologically torturing, while the venue itself is used as a means of harassment and targeting, while the entity is also shown to be targeting while the airport flies over. And that is clear evidence that's going to be used in court. And Alan D. WAPNER, none of the board and none of the executive team, and no airline company and no flight from that airport is going to be able to establish why that is happening, what flight, what destination, what exactly is going on there. It is the P.O.C. And that's the entity that's going to be civilly and criminally prosecuted, every airline. That's the federal RICO case. And this is impunity, stalking in plain sight. The federal RICO case is that El Pescador has the audacity to be making money while they're a gang stalker, 8DJF973, and any immigrants, as the entire population is going to be combed through, are being deported. This is P.O.C. This is why I know that they're stalking. You don't have to say a word. Federal RICO, immigration. You're talking about dealing with the gang stalkers that have access to children. All areas of the law are going to be applied with regard to prosecuting the terrorists that are in the state of California. This is P.O.C. All right, just want you to see he's doing over the Ontario City Hall. There's no airport over here. So they are much more farther away from the Ontario town square, where they're stalking, the Ovid Family Community Library, where they're stalking, and this is the psychopathic conduct. This is the monitoring conduct. These are the mentally ill. Okay? This is P.O.C. And while they do this with the police departments, while they do this with the government that's stalking in planes, this ongoing criminal cooperative act, they're going to be federally prosecuted. This is P.O.C. And they do so as an entity. That's the pattern of every single lad's business. This is where the sets. That's the bus stop over there where they're stalking. The stalking with light conduct is analogous to them stalking while the fake sun is over you from day until night. These are vagina monitors, violent sex offenders who have no right to stay in this country. Especially, you will be celebrating when the immigrants, because the entire state of California has been established as a gang stalker. While you see the population practices, the people of the state that are immigrants, even if I don't document you, you're all being deported out of this country, just so that you know. This is P.O.C. It's currently 7:55 p.m.
It is El Pescador, the bucket crabs and crawfish, speaking to the ongoing stalking by a population that has vied for the death of an American citizen. These are the people of the state that are, again, engaging in terrorism, no longer the actor with regard to authorizing and enabling the Constitution. All right? The people of the state are proven to be the domestic terrorists in the U.S. And they're being prosecuted as the enemies that they are. P.O.C.
Alrighty, this is the entity doing cartwheels like they are over the houses and over the El Pescador at G Street in U. Alright, this is the Ovid Family Community Library. They are inside of the library, still stalking in the same manner when I'm inside of that library, and they're demons pacing around in the engineer light inside of the building, which fills the bathroom as well, where the sex offenders that are stalking on behalf of the government, that's following me around in planes, flying over the Ontario City Hall, flying over the Ontario Senior Center, and making a sharp cartwheel because I'm capturing video of it. If I hadn't got a captured video right now, the entity continues flying this way, okay? The entity is engaging in this conduct. It's still relevant positioning. They're crossing path, and then they get in alignment with my path to make a U-turn. It's pacing, all right? They're doing this in the engineered environment, okay? Here's the environment where my shadow surrounds me. This is impossible light activity, and this is at the Ovid Family Community Library. This is upon my arrival. This is stalking as an airport that has no flights, nothing is going to cause the commercial planes from Terminals 2, Terminal 4, the Ontario International Airport to maintain what I've shown you, clear stalking. Same airport, various elevations, hovering over outside of zoning provisions in places in the city that are clearly outside of the agreement with the city. When they have airports, they enter into agreements with that city. The Ontario International Airport operating outside of the bounds of such agreement that are typical between the city and that airport. All right, the entity is doing this because the city is stalking, and so is that airport. This is the entity that's engaging in that, and they're doing so as I'm arriving, and they're monitoring my devices with the people of the state who are stalking, and so is Union Pacific. All of the elements that are satisfied by the entity, any and every regard, are shown to be engaging in that pattern of conduct, which is in furtherance of murder. That is a federal prosecution for a train system to be federally prosecuted as a terrorist, as a sex offender, as a stalker. Okay, that's relevant to the federal RICO case, while the Union Pacific is utilized in what is the pattern of conduct, and they are making money operating maliciously as though they're only focused on the train and the train tracks and delivery or whatever, transporting from as they engage in inter and intrastate commerce. They are not. They're engaged in state surveillance, and that's relevant to the federal RICO case, and I will prosecute. The entity is engaging in what is demonic because you can't even hear the train over here. Okay, that's relevant to the terrorism that Union Pacific is engaging in. And it is characteristic of what all the trains in California, Metrolink, for example, are engaging in. It's the P.O.C. Amtrak, for example, it is the P.O.C. It is currently 8:20 p.m.